It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to WABO and the Brouhaha time. Marshall Wood and Dale McKee ready to break down a little sports action going around the world. Got a guest tonight, got all kind of stuff going on. Dale, top of the evening to you, sir.
Well, good evening to you. I am battling a little,
You are.
excuse me, upper respiratory issues.
Upper respiratory.
That's what the doctor called it.
Oh, yeah?
Some people call it crud.
Crud?
Some people call it allergy.
Allergies.
You know.
Yeah. Huh.
So.
Well,
yeah.
you wear it well. You're a real trooper. You showed up for work. You play hurt, Dale. You know, if you're going to be successful, you got to play hurt, dog. You can't sit over and nurse your wounds and lick your wounds. You got to get in the game, son. And here you are playing hurt.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really do. I just appreciate you inspiring me to be here today. Just dangling that paycheck at me. You don't come, you don't get paid.
That's right. No show, no dough, baby.
There you go. So,
Yeah.
anyway, tonight we got a really interesting guest.
A
Man that knows everything. I would call him the new Renaissance man of sports.
The Renaissance man of sports.
He can talk about hockey if we wanted him to. He could talk about track and field. He could talk about distance running. He could talk about semi-pro football, semi-pro baseball, minor league baseball, major league baseball. He could talk about Ole Miss, Southern State,
This guy don't care,
Gulfport
man.
High. I mean, he can talk about anything.
Yeah.
So you're going to be in for a treat tonight, fans. You
Yeah.
really are.
Okay.
And he's a state championship announcer, radio announcer.
Oh.
He's won a state championship. He also was an assistant coach in state championship.
You know, we know who he is. Tell our guest. He's been with us before. Tell him.
Hunter Dawkins.
Hunter's a really great guy. You know, I've come to know him. We've had him on here several times through the years. We've been doing this a while, and I've gotten to know him through here. And he's an awesome guy. He knows sports. He's involved in it, and he's a whole lot of fun to talk to, Dale.
He is. And did you know he used to work for a congressman?
Was there anything this guy hadn't done? I mean,
And now he owns a newspaper. I mean, I'm almost jealous.
well, you know what he talks to us.
Yeah.
How can you get him to even talk to us? But he does all that stuff.
I don't know. But
Is there something wrong with him?
No.
We know you're listening, Hunter.
All I know is, I mean, he's a great guy, people, but he like to energize Buddy. He just when he gets to talking, he
can go.
He
son.
can go with it.
Yeah.
Now. He's like a sprinter. Let's get to the finish line here.
Man, Dale, you getting me all fired up, son.
Oh yeah.
You ever thought about coaching?
No.
Oh, come on now, you've coached. See, but you didn't. But so what you're telling me is, even though you coached, you didn't think about it. Is that what you're telling me? There seems to be a lot of that going on. You got to get your head in the game, dog.
No, I think the most I would be proud of, I guess, you coach your children, but it's not a sports related thing. So really, everybody's a coach.
Ooh, man, you opening up a deep book, son. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's a coach in a way. I mean, you're coaching your kids to do right. I mean, my dad used to say, "Hey, if they don't know right from wrong by the 6th grade, and they don't know how to read and write, ain't gonna be much hope for them."
You know what my dad used to say?
What's that?
Yours is not the reason why, only but to do or die.
Yeah, really,
Your dad probably said that too.
probably.
In World War II, guys. Hmm?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My dad had a lot of wars to talk about.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately.
But anyway, of course, we got a good one now. We want to pray for them all over in the Middle
Oh,
East.
man, for the world, brother. For the world. For us in the
Yes,
world.
yes,
We
sir.
are the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not about gas, folks, or the price of gas or anything like that. It's just human decency and everything.
All righty. Well, let's get back to sports. And tonight, you've already told us have you told us, or we were just talking about it?
No, we told. I mean, you were sleeping or something.
Yeah, okay, but it's going to be Hunter Dawkins then.
Yeah, $100.
Well, I'm excited about that. So I'll tell you what let's do. Let's not waste another minute. Let's take a break to hear from our sponsor, and Dale and I'll be back right after this commercial break with tonight's guest, Hunter Dawkins. See you after the break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Hunter. Hunter, glad to have you on the show again today. I know we've had some, I think, what do you call it?
Technical difficulties.
Because it's not human error, right?
No, actually, it's human error. It's on Dale, everybody. It's Dale's fault.
It's my fault. It's my fault, like always. Well, Hunter, welcome to the show, and we're going to talk a little bit about your great experience with the Biloxi Shuckers in the last couple of weeks. Tell us about that.
Well, Dale, they've had a really good upcoming season, at least as we've talked about. You and I have before. They are the AA affiliate of the Milwaukee Brewers, and they are, as you also know, I'm very good friends with the ambassador Barry Lyons, and he and I talk a lot, and we have talked about in my own personal podcast about the upcoming season, and of course the last few weeks they've had some really stellar college baseball games with Mississippi State coming back against Tulane and really helping solidify where they're going. And then this last week we had USM shut out Nichols, and that's been very successful. As far as the Shuckers, the upcoming season, it's kind of hard to predict because you're not really necessarily sure who they're going to get on their roster because the Milwaukee Brewers haven't finalized their roster yet, and they have a lot of guys from the Shuckers that have played pretty well this last season and look to be coming back. For instance, Mississippi native Cooper Pratt, who has played pretty well, and as I'm sure you know, Dale, being from Hattiesburg and Waynesboro area, of Ozzie Pratt, who played for USM last year. Cooper is his older brother that was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers, and they have really. They brought back their head coach for a long-time head coach, Mike Guerrero, who really helped them during their successful tenure. They've been Shuckers. Heck, they've been around for about close to 12, 13 years, or at least more than a decade, I should say. And they're looking good. The weather's certainly good down here right now, guys, and that's something that's going to help at least drive the baseball season.
It sure will. The last time we were together was up in Starkville, Mississippi, and there were some exciting things happening, especially from your point of view. Won't you tell us about that?
Well, and of course, Dale, is I had the first opportunity ever in the history, my history, of calling a state championship game on the radio of the Gulfport High School station, at least for 96.7, and I got the opportunity to call the Hail Mary pass, and I'm sure you guys probably saw a little clip of that on TV where you heard the yelling in the background. That was me and Harold, Harold Rose, who's
Love it.
the play-by-play for the radio. We're out there, screaming after Stubbs catches the touchdown. At least on the Hail Mary pass, and of course, I've had the opportunity to do that this year, which was phenomenal. And just to let you know, Marshall, I've had 2 victories. I've only been in 2 state championships, but I've been victorious in both of them. One being the offensive line coach at St. Stanislaus in 2009, and the other being this year at Gulfport High broadcaster.
Well, listen at you go. Hey, if we ever make another one, we may call you and get you to join the show with us, brother.
There you go. Absolutely.
I always need those experienced championship announcers around.
That's right.
Well, listen, we go get into March Madness. We'll take up the girls or the boys, ever what you want to do, and let's talk a little bit about both of them.
Well, and for Mississippi terms, the girls were very successful. At least, Ole Miss lost on the buzzer beater against Minnesota the other day too, and it was a great game. And I was surprised, about how it came down to the line, but it was back and forth, and Coach Yo at Ole Miss has been doing a great job this year. They've got a lot to look forward to, especially with her character, and are bringing a lot back to the program. And the other day, Alcorn State lost in the WNIT against South Alabama. Both of those teams were pretty good. I got to see South Alabama girls, at least when I went and covered the Sun Belt tournament in Pensacola a few weeks ago, and they were pretty definitely moving in the right direction. But yeah, as far as from the March Madness from the men's bracket, there's a lot of. I was pretty much there was a few Cinderella stories at least coming through, but I'm pretty big on my pick of Arizona being the number one pick for me at least, because I really think they've got the team with the talent wise. But I've always been a big predictor of Michigan State because Tom Izzo is a great March Madness coach. Duke is very vulnerable, but they're still looking good. There's a couple other teams hit or miss here and there, but it's great. It's always fun to watch, at least at this time of year.
Yeah, I get a kick. They keep saying it's a young man's game, and I'm sure it is. But, it just thrills me to death that Rick Pitino and John Calipari are still coaching, and they're in the Sweet 16, and they both have to be in their 60s, if not older. Same with Coach Izzo up at Michigan State. I mean, we got a senior club up there. I'm proud of those young men.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing is the coaches. That's what it is about in March Madness. It's not. I mean, of course, the players play the game, and that's the important factor, but. It's funny, just like you said, Dale, about how many of the coaches have been there before. How many of the coaches are in the same, Rick Barnes of Tennessee, that's another one. I mean, he's been around for a long time. There's a lot of guys that have that nature of what to expect and what to be able to go through, at least in the tournament.
Oh, that's very true. Big ball game tonight in Starkville. Southern Miss, Mississippi State. Rankings came out this week. I believe State's number 6, Southern's number 11. But Mississippi State did something very unusual this week. Fans showed up to watch them play.
Well, and the thing about it is, and they're starting to realize it now, that Mississippi State team, even though they were definitely high on the end, right when they picked up Coach O'Connor, I think the fans are starting to realize this team's going to have some success. The difference between the two teams, and Southern, of course, is a really good baseball team as they are every year, but the difference between both the teams is among Mississippi State, you have a big offensive firepower, whereas opposed to Southern Miss, you've got a very solid bullpen. And so during a midweek game, you're not necessarily sure which side is going to take the greater. Of course, because you have Mississippi State with their offensive firepower, they could show a lot, but then they'd have to be able to beat a bunch of the USM's relief staff, and Coach Oz is not going to let that happen, at least. And so it'll be an interesting output of the game tonight, and I look forward to seeing it.
Excuse me. Yes, the closer, I guess, for right now over at USM is the Clark boy from West Jones, Cam.
Sure.
He came in the other day and threw 7 batters, through 20 pitches, and I'm serious. They all look like strikes to me. And you don't usually in this day and time, a closer's used for 1 inning. Three outs,
yeah.
And that's it. And now, he's doing what he's doing. And so I doubt if he'll pitch tonight, though, because of, if they played a Wednesday game, he probably would have brought him back or things like that. But they did make some adjustments to their pitching staff over the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, they moved Colby Allen, who was supposed to be the Friday starter, back to the bullpen. And in my mind, that was a really smart thing to do because Colby Allen, even though he has been a good pitcher during his time at Southern Miss, he's been more effective, at least from the bullpen and the relief. And I think that he could potentially be another one of your closers, at least, depending on what way marks things out. The tough thing for Southern this year has been the starters. You have Graydon Harris, who was kind of moving up to the Friday start, but I'm not sure he was expecting to be put in that place. And then you have McCarty English, who's from the coast originally. He was a little bit shaky at times, but that's why having a good bullpen makes it even better, Dale, because after an inning or two, the coach isn't shy. Coach Ostrander is not shy just to rip it and pull it out and put it in somebody else's hand that can take care of business.
Yeah, he does a great job with that pitching staff. And if their hitting comes around a little bit more, I think they'll be solid again. They're going to go on a streak at some point this year. They always do, 7, 8, 9 wins in a row, whatever what it is. But they've been challenged by two really good Sun Belt teams so far this year in Arkansas State and Troy. And, I think Louisiana Lafayette will be the other one that'll be challenged since they don't play East Carolina. But they've got App State this weekend. And, of course, that'll be a big one for the Eagles if they can hopefully sweep, or they got to take at least two. But, okay, the weekend in Oxford, it's going to be the Little Egg Bowl again, right? 3 times. Time 3, Ole Miss and State. What you think about that series? I saw a figure today that State has won 26 of the last 36 games against Ole Miss. Will that hold up this weekend, or does it even matter?
Well, a lot of it depends on your Friday. As we just talked about, Mississippi State is very strong offensively. They're not quite as strong, at least from the mound, especially with Ryan McPherson just getting injured. But, of course, Ole Miss has got to start showing up. Your Hunter Elliott is supposed to be the number one pitcher, probably one of the best pitchers in the nation, and should be in there in one of the top picks of the draft at the end of the season. But Hunter Elliott has not completely shown himself. Maybe he shows himself and shows some good quality. I got to see Hunter Elliott pitch a few years ago when Ole Miss beat Southern Miss in the Super Regional, and he was phenomenal then. And it looks like if he gets back to where he's going, he could be that as well. I think if the Friday match is what is the determining factor, because usually that determines, okay, well, we're having to play in a comeback role, against either side, and as opposed to, whereas I think if Ole Miss gets beat on Friday against a State, even though it's in Oxford, at Swayze Field, I think that could potentially open up some room for a sweep, because as you know, and as I've said before, Mississippi State offensively is stout.
Yeah, Hunter, when he first came up as a freshman, he really got better as the season went on. I know he's had a couple injured years here, the last couple, but this may be he just may be getting started, hopefully, for the Ole Miss people. But I think both of them will do well in the SEC. You're not going to dominate the SEC, as we know that. You're not going to dominate that in any sport.
Well, Southern Miss has dominated the 3 times that they've played. So,
yeah.
But, of course, as we know, and that's also one of the things I think is going to help Southern Miss in the future, is if they can maintain a legitimate deal in the Sun Belt, they pretty much have got a host spot locked up, because their RPI shouldn't go lower than 10, of course, unless they lose to some games to Appalachian State or ULM or something like that with a low rank. Because if they maintain against these solid Sun Belt teams, they're going to be okay.
Well, that's good. All right, spring football is going to start at Mississippi State and Southern Miss. I believe is this week or next week. I'm not sure.
Well, Southern Miss practice schedule starts today. Actually, it's,
okay.
I believe it's 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock today. So now the Eagles are going to have a lot of holes to fill. So we know
Yep.
anything about the Eagles at this time, or is it just a puzzle that
I
has to be
abs-
put together?
I absolutely know nothing, Dale. And more or less, one of the reasons that I might be interested in going out there sometime this week is just to see the quarterback play, who they've got. Now, I trust Blake Anderson having a pretty solid, offensive system because he's had some in the past and he's got the proven record to be able to do that. But of course, he's never coached. He hasn't coached Southern Miss in this transfer portal era, this NIL portion. So it's gonna be a little odd just to be able to see what happens. But I look forward to seeing that. State really has one of the best returning. Minus a couple positions, they have probably the best returning, if not the best, one of the best in the SEC, and especially with Kamario Taylor, who they already know is going to be quarterback number one. It's more or less, going to be seeing what happens after that.
Yes, state's. I really believe you're looking at state's football schedule. It won't be as challenging as it was last year compared to Ole Miss. I thought Ole Miss had a favorable schedule last year. This year, I think that they do not have a favorable schedule. They lost Kentucky and South Carolina from last year, and they picked up Texas and Auburn, and going to play Texas at Texas, and they have they're going to play Texas and Oklahoma and Florida on the road, and I think Vanderbilt's going to be another road team that they play. So that's their four road teams. I guess they'll play 5 games at home. And of course, they'll play Mississippi State at home, and they'll play Georgia and Auburn. And not sure about the other two. I assume LSU. Is LSU coming to Oxford this year? I think a lot of people are looking forward to that ball game.
That is correct. The
Wow.
LSU will play at Oxford in the third game of the season. Yes, sir.
Well,
First
well,
opening
yeah,
SEC game.
yeah. If I was an Ole Miss fan, I would worry about this. You put all your energy into that ball game, and if something does not come out like you want it, and you lose that game, how's the rest of the season going to be for those players and those fans?
Well, I'll tell you this, Dale. I really think that you are right. I think they are putting most of their what they have coming back into that opening SEC game. Of course, as you know, coach speak, we're going to go game by game by game. But that being said, I think most of their motivation and most of the fandom motivation will be into that also too. I'm not so sure. It's like I said, it's more of a take one game at a time, and it depends on how much. If they were unlucky in that game, Dale, what's the game like? Is it a close game to the end, and LSU gets a field goal or something like that to win? Then you've got something to build on the momentum because Lane Kiffin's going to bring in pretty much a pro team, to play at least all that level. So, but yeah, I think that after that, I think you definitely have some opening. But of course, just as you said, the schedule for Ole Miss is a lot tougher than it was last year.
Well, that's true. Tell us about the Saints have let some of the veterans, I guess, walk, sign with other teams.
Well, in a way, Dale, it's a very positive thing because, as you know, as I've told you guys before in the past, the biggest problem with this is hanging on. It's hanging on to this Sean Payton-esque type scenario where you need to really build from the new. And they have quite a number of draft picks. As a matter of fact, I was asking one of the Saints insiders yesterday, how many draft picks do the Saints have this year? 8 or 9 in the NFL draft, which that's, as you remember, Dale, back in the day, the draft picks used to be, especially during Sean Payton era, an important thing. If you did well in the draft, you got a lot of things right. And, we've known, at least from, if you're a Saints fan, that Tyler Shuck, it was an important pickup in the draft, as well as Danny Stutzman and a few other players. So let's make it another year draft where you're in the building process and you're building a team and a nucleus that that's going to look good, and I hope that the Saints do that as well.
Hey guys, it's me sitting over here, and we're out of time. Hunter, I want to appreciate you. Dale and I thank you so much for being with us, and we had some technical difficulties getting started, but we fought through it, and we thank you for that. Going to ask you to hold on for a minute. We're going to take a break to hear from one of our sponsors, and Dale and I will be back with the final segment of tonight's Brouhaha right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. Closing round 3.
All
the
right.
Brouhaha, man. Hunter had us on the ropes, didn't he? Son, he can go, buddy. We set him up, and he picked it up and ran with it.
Man, we're going to have to sprint to the finish. Skip over that guy.
Oh, Dale, anything exciting? Anything you want to? I want to ask you. I want to hit you with a couple of questions. You know every dadgum thing, so I'm just going to ask you.
I wish you wouldn't say that every week.
Well, listen. Who are the colleges that's got the most NFL players? I'm gonna tell you what. If you can't get this one right, I'm gonna just don't know what
I would say Notre Dame is first, USC is second, and Ohio State's third.
Wow. You know, I knew I could count on you, Dale. How do you do it? I mean, you've been 40-something years in writing sports, and you never forget anything?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
I really do.
Yeah.
I forget a lot, and a lot of times if I'll reread something in the old papers, it spurs me on again. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I was talking to a member of our church the other day, and he was talking about, he played for Old Waynesboro Central. A lot of people know him, Dale Bowen. And Dale and I were talking, and I said, Dale, I'm going to put something in the paper here. This was back during football season. And I said, y'all lost to West Jones really bad one night over here. And West had never beat us. This Waynesboro Central back then, about 75, I think, or 70. Yeah, I think it was 1975 football season. So let me tell you about that game, Dale. And I didn't see the game, but I had written about it because the coach had called it in. And I said, "What about that game?" He said, "We didn't touch the ball. And we were down 21-0."
Wow.
So there's interesting things about games that you learn about 100 years later.
Yeah.
So one day, we were living in Kansas. My dad was in the military. He was stationed at a military base north of Kansas City called Fort Leavenworth. And it was one of the first forts that they ever had, the military in the United States. So we went to see the New York Yankees come to Kansas City to play. Well, the Yankees had these guys, I don't know if you remember any of them, a Mantle guy, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Elston Howard, Roger Maris.
A bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, a bunch of nobodies. And this was like 1964. Well, they had a pitcher on a mound, and I used to remember his name. And I was at the ball game, and he got sick on the mound. And I remember him holding his head down, and everybody was out there and all this kind of stuff. Well, you know how I like to, read and stuff like that. And I don't know, several years later, maybe a decade or even more, I was reading a story. And this guy said, I was pitching one day in Kansas City, and I swallowed my tobacco. And they had to take me out of the ball game. And I looked back, and he was on that roster.
He was the guy.
He was on that roster.
Well, now you know what happened to him.
Yeah.
He got excited and swallowed his tobacco.
So sometimes it takes you 10 or 20 years to figure out this stuff,
Man, guy swallowed his
so,
chew.
So sometimes a refresh, like we do on a computer, really, really helps.
You ever chewed tobacco, Dale?
Man, I tried it one day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Man, I chewed it, and I dipped snuff.
I think I got sick as a dog.
Well, I got sick, but I kept going back, getting sick and sick.
Oh,
Finally,
man.
you get used to it.
Once I got sick, I didn't go back.
Well, Dale, listen, I think we've about run our course for this evening. I appreciate you and all you do weekly for the Brouhaha and rounding up our good guests like you do. We thank Hunter for being with us tonight, and we thank you. That's right. We thank you who's out there on the other end of these microphones listening to us, and we appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to us. I want to remind you that you can follow us during the week on our Facebook page at the Brouhaha, And we do catalog all of our shows for you where you can listen to them on demand at our YouTube channel at, you guessed it, the Brouhaha. But for now, it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.